Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Innovating with Google Forms Part 2. In Part 1, we looked at how to create engaging and interactive escape rooms. Today, we're going to be discussing how to use Google Forms to track student behavior data. Now, teacher confession. One of the hardest things for me about tracking student behavior data is finding the time to actually put down the behavior that's happening and when it's happening. This helps to eliminate that. It creates that organization piece, it saves time, it identifies patterns for you, supports students with their success, it stores your data, and you can access it anywhere. So you don't need to carry around paper files with you wherever you go. Your data is stored right on the internet. So the steps to track student behavior data are simple. 1, you create a new form. 2, you add the student's name. 3, add a location. 4, add your ABC data. So that's your antecedent, what happened before, like what was the trigger. B, what was the behavior. And C, what was the consequence that happened afterwards. And then there's always going to be a section at the end that's optional to add notes. So if you need to write something about how parent was notified and came to pick up the child or something like that, that is where you're going to add that. And then step 6, you can review your responses in Google Sheets and see patterns of, wow, little Jimmy has all of his problems happen at recess or at lunch. And this helps to make those patterns become much more visible. Okay, so now let's look at an example of a behavior tracker so you can see how I apply each of those elements. So first things first, I have a very basic title, behavior tracker. Then the first question is student's name. You want this to be a drop down. So when you get your student roster at the beginning of the year, you're going to go ahead and add all of your students' names here. And that way, when the behavior occurs, you can easily just drop down and select a student's name. What this is going to allow you to do is when you get this data on sheets, you can create bar graphs and see how many times this behavior has occurred for particular students. Second, I always like to include location. You don't have to, but for me, I like to include the location. With location, it should be only multiple choice. They can select one. So it should not be multi-select for that. Now, for antecedent, what was happening before the behavior occurred that caused it? So I brainstormed and I used some resources to figure out what could be some possible triggers to cause students to show certain behaviors. And for this selection, it is going to be checkboxes. This is because that sometimes a behavior could be triggered by multiple things. Maybe the student was frustrated, but at the same time, they wanted to appear confident. So they started acting out and being disrespectful. So for that, you would select peer attention and student was frustrated with the task. Okay, so now the next section is behavior. And for this one, you're going to want to do multiple choice. So let me show you what that looks like on the form. You're going to select multiple choice because to get the most effective use of this data, you really want to focus on only one behavior at a time. So even if there's multiple things going on, what is the biggest, most impactful behavior that is occurring? And then finally, consequence. What interventions were put in place after this behavior occurred? And for these, you can select all that apply. This is great for your data when you're trying to have a student tiered. You could say, I did all of these things to help the student be successful. And then finally, I always like to leave a section at the end for extra information. It's optional. And for that, I always make sure I unselect required here. So people do not need to fill this out. It's just optional of if you want to give any extra information. Okay, that was it. Quick, easy lesson today. Now it's your turn. You are going to check out the Thompson tips on the next slide and then create your own behavior tracker. If you don't have students yet, you can insert fake names just to get the practice. I'll see you in our next video, Innovating with Sheets Part 1, as we get closer and closer for you to become a Google Master. See you next time.